And we're live.
Good Saturday morning, and welcome to Sports Chatter AZ alongside Kingpin, Bob Aries. I'm the other co host, Jim Marshall, aka Basebald. We're live every Saturday on YouTube, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Phoenix, Arizona is what we should say. We talk all Arizona sports, and we'll mix in some national as well, and maybe we'll even get into a little bit of entertainment, sports and entertainment. That's what it's all about. How's it
Sports
going
Center.
today, Bob?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good. I wish I could say the same for my beloved Cubs, but listen, the Diamondbacks at least have played some soft teams this week. Uh, they've got a few wins underneath their belt.
Yeah, we'll go over an overview of Arizona sports. The Diamondbacks, they're just kind of hanging around 500, you know. Now they're 2 games under 500. They played a White Sox team. That's a bad baseball team. They just don't seem to really want to care. And look, it's not the players, it's not the manager, it's upstairs, GM, owner, front office. It's just a bad White Sox team.
Yeah.
Ryan Nelson got the start last night, and boy, I'd really like to see Nelson kind of just really put it together. That's actually 2 games in a row he's pitched well. He'll pitch a game, and then it'll go 3 games where he looks really bad. Then he comes bounces back. So, and like they said, your momentum in baseball is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. So they beat an Angels team the night before, pounded them really good, and everybody said, "Oh, here comes Ryan Nelson." Brandon Pfaadt looked good, and
Right.
then they said, "Oh, Nelson, he's not going to do it," but at least he pitched good, did enough, and carried the team. And the offense, look, we know this. The offense must dominate until the starting staff returns from injuries. And you and I talked about this last year when we, went to all the games, credentialed for all the games. It has to be more than Christian Walker. Yes, this team does better when Christian Walker is hitting and he's hitting home runs. He's hitting 258 right now. They'd like to see him around 275. You've
Right.
got to get Gabby Moreno and Lourdes Gurriel. I mean, you're starting to see Carroll hit a little bit. Randall Grichuk needs to come around a little bit more. Eugenio Suarez hit a home run last night. We'll talk a little bit more about him, where they're either going to platoon him and is it time for him to be let go. But you really need this team more than just Christian Walker and Ketel Marte. You need the other guys to start hitting the ball.
Yeah.
So Arizona
Yeah.
Cardinals, they wrapped up mini camp. Now it's just a matter of waiting for training camp to open. We're getting closer to NFL, and football sells. That's going to be the thing. You being a big Bears fan, you'll start to see news on the Bears. It's time for the Bears to get an offensive line going. For the Bears, having a rookie quarterback, you had mentioned, it's going to need that offensive line. They're going to need more than just a running game. They're going to need a passing game. They're going to need blocking, and they are going to need the defense to come out of nowhere and really help the Bears if they want to be respectable. So that'll be interesting in the next month. Pay attention a little bit more to the Bears.
Yeah. And what it looks like is the Bears are actually trying. They picked up another wide receiver this week. Um, and what they're trying to do is surround some players. They think that this guy is the guy to take them finally to that next level. They've been in the bottom for a long time now, and it, let's just say it should be fun. I hope that Caleb Williams is as good as he was in college. But of course, the pros is a lot different. It's a lot quicker game. Everybody is fast, right? So it'll definitely be interesting. I mean, my goodness, already we're at we're mid June. Um,
Yes.
I don't say spring training, but preseason, and there's only 3 games now. But that'll start up, and it'll be like, well, how many games is a Caleb Williams going to play? Games is a in preseason, that is, and a Kyler Murray and your top quarterbacks. And how about an Aaron Rodgers? I'll throw that one out there. A guy who got hurt on like almost the very first play of last season. You know, I'm sorry to say this because I think Aaron Rodgers is a freaking jerk. Okay, but the thing is, here he is, all this big hype, and then you get hurt like on the first or second play of the season, and you're gone. Um,
Yeah,
so
Williams, I think the Bears, I would expect maybe the first preseason game you're going to see him, and that might be it because why are you going to risk an injury? And that's the problem. He's saying all the right things. We'll give him that. He's been very positive during their mini camps. But he's saying, speed is everything. He said, I can't believe, how the speed is. Well, how are you going to get any experience if you're not playing in the games? Do the Bears say, well, the first couple of games, we'll just kind of, they should be maybe some winnable games. So it'll be interesting to see how much a lot of these guys are going to play. The one thing I have to say about the Bears, though, is, they got a coach, and you can be as all positive as you want. He is trying to create a positive locker room, and I guess in today's game that really means a lot. He's brought in a lot of guys that were, younger coaches. Coaches, brought in a good, very underrated offensive coordinator, and actually a very underrated defensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator. A lot of people don't know about him and stuff, but he can do the passing game and the running game. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bears are going to do. But I'm with you. How much are these guys going to really play? And it's you've shortened it by 1 week. You've shortened training camp a little bit, so you're looking at guys that are going to be special teams players. You're going to spend more time looking at them. That the Bears already made up their mind who's going to be the starting offensive line. So now they're looking at depth. Maybe all the teams have decided what their
yeah,
starters are going to be. Now you're looking at the depth, and I think that's what's really changed the game.
yeah.
We'll jump into the NBA just a little bit. We thought the Celtics were going to do a sweep last night and close it out. Being a conspiracy theorist, or uh, ratings are down for the NBA on TV at the stadiums. Ratings are down. I think it's 14% at the stadiums, 9% on viewing, or the other way around. It would have been nice just to sweep it and get it over and done with. But the Mavericks came out, and it looked like the Celtics didn't even care. They were down by 40 points. They didn't even care. So everybody was jumping over Luka Doncic, jumping on him that he was having a bad series. Yeah, he's having a bad series, but Kyrie Irving has disappeared. And that's the knock on Kyrie Irving. When the big games matter, he disappears too. So it's really all them.
Yeah.
It was the first chance, and we'll jump into the NHL before we dive into Major League Baseball. But the Panthers have a chance to sweep the Edmonton Oilers. They can close it out today. Once again, if they do it, it'll be since 1993 was the last time a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. But if the Celtics would have swept, it would have been the first time in a while that you've had the NHL and the NBA were having sweeps. But did the NBA call up the Celtics and say, "Hey, why don't you roll over a little bit and let's extend this one more, especially on a weekend? Look at all the extra people we'll be getting to watch the game." So it
What?
kind of makes you
Yeah,
wonder a little bit.
yeah.
You lose
What
by 40.
yeah. What an interesting year it's been, and from even last year when the Rangers won their first World Series, and now you have Florida, who is on the verge of winning their first, I believe, their first
Yeah,
Stanley Cup.
they lost.
The
They lost
Panthers.
last. Yeah, they were the
So
runner up last year.
yeah. So I mean, that's to me, it's kind of nice to get some new blood in there.
Yeah,
Um, in these sports. I mean, we've talked about baseball. Baseball is just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm having a hard time watching it this year. I don't know if it's because I'm not involved in it as much as I was. I mean, I'm not going to 80 some odd games. Yes, I'll go most likely to the All-Star game. Combine comes up next week, so I'll
Yeah,
probably get out there for a day. Um, you know, and of course, playoffs. Where am I going to go for playoffs this year? I better go ahead and pick out my hotel room in Los Angeles
Los
because I
Angeles.
mean, yeah, I mean the Dodgers are going to be there. It sure looks like the Yankees are going to be there. Philadelphia's,
Philadelphia has been
they've
amazing.
they've continued. They've continued. They're pissed off that the Diamondbacks beat them
Yes,
last year.
yes, they are, and they and look, let's say it now. They took the Diamondbacks for granted.
Yeah,
You and I both know, and you're close to Torey Lovello.
yeah,
Torey's a good manager. He's not a great manager yet, but I don't know if he really outmanaged Thompson last year. But I think the team, the Philadelphia Phillies team, took the Diamondbacks for granted, and they got punched in the face.
yeah,
They figured they were up by the two by 3 games to two, and then they lost the last 2 games, and they're still trying to recover. We've talked about it before. The Cleveland Guardians, you do not lay down on the Cleveland Guardians. Stephen Vogt has come out of nowhere. He is manager of the year. People were criticizing them for picking him as manager. It's funny how catchers seem to work out, isn't that so? But he's
yeah.
got that team believing in themselves. Seattle Mariners, they're kind of hanging around and 10 games above 500. Before we talk about baseball, I got one other thing to bring up. And I know you and I have been very outspoken about the former NHL team that we have out here. In two
Yeah.
weeks is when the land development comes up for Alex Murillo to bid on the land, not too far from where I live here, over off of the 101 and 64th Street in Phoenix, Arizona. There's now at least 4 other bidders that are going to be on the land. In the end, I don't think Alex Murillo is going to win the land. They thought that this land was, I believe, the original, and if I'm wrong, sorry. I believe it was going to start at about 84 million. I
Hmm.
believe it's going to go way past that. And I just don't know. Is there a number in his head where he says, "Look, 84 million, I'll just say 200 million. After 200 million, is he done? Or is it 300 million? Let's just say Bob Aries' company comes in and he's going to bid 400 million. Does that mean Murillo's done? You and I have been talking. He does not want to have to pay $1 billion back to the NHL, and I just don't think that he is going to win this land. He says if he wins it, he's going to start building a stadium. I just can't see it happening. So, and I know I'd love to have the NHL back. We were looking at getting an MLS team. You could have the 5 major sports if you want to throw in, Major League Soccer and bring him back in 5 years. But I just don't know if he's going to win the land bid. So that'll be interesting over the next couple of weeks. Do you
Right.
think he's got a plan in mind of how much he wants to spend, or do you
Oh,
think he's
sure.
just going to?
No,
So,
I think you go into, and this is an auction, right?
yeah,
Basically, and you always have in mind what your top, what you're willing to go, right? And if it goes beyond it, that's it. You're not going to do it. So I think you're right. They're going to go in. They're going to go in with a number, and he probably won't get it. And I don't give a shit if he gets it or not. They're not bringing the Coyotes here. So as far as I'm concerned, he can go frickin' pound salt. I don't care about a frickin' billionaire.
yeah, it's interesting how everybody really enjoyed him when he took over the team when he bought it and how
Right.
positive he was. And there was always something in the background that some of the people, the true sports people, some of the radio heads that were talking, there's just something about this guy that is different, and it made him wonder what he was going to do. I mean, he's not a sports person. He
Right.
owns. It's funny. He owns many communications, but he's a guy that goes in and develops land. So it'll be interesting to see. So
I
so
you know I
let's
was just
jump.
I was just saying something to somebody the other day because they were asking me my advice on stuff. Me, I don't know why me, but I said, have you ever I said every billionaire that you ever want to think of has always been in real estate in some
Yes,
way. I mean, that's it. and
right.
and it's always been there. And so the thing is this guy isn't like a Mark Cuban, right? Who a Mark Cuban really wanted his sports teams, and I'm surprised that he actually wound up selling the Mavericks. I thought that he was going to be like the owner forever.
Yeah,
Um, I heard back in the day that he bid on the Cubs, and but the Ricketts won that. I would have loved to seen Mark Cuban do that because he would have put the money into the players and got players, and it would have been like an LA Dodgers team where you just buy your players, right?
yeah, and just I think Cuban just got a little. I don't know if bored is the word, but I think he wanted a new challenge, and I think in a couple years he's going to bid on another sports team, whether
I
it's
think
in
you're probably right.
soccer or if it's in baseball or whatever. One more thing on the Coyotes. Yesterday they announced that they're laying off everybody. They gave them 1 week extra of pay, and they're paying their benefits through the end of the month. I don't know. I'm not a business person. I can act like one. But wouldn't you want to have kept some of those people around? Because if you think you're getting a team in 5 years, wouldn't you still want a skeleton crew? So is he just going to start fresh again? Is he think, oh, hey, I'm going to win the land bid and I'm going to go out and just bring in a few people? And so it was real interesting. Granted, they're not playing games and there won't be any revenue coming in, and maybe he still has some people behind the scenes that are still going to be doing it, but it pretty much put an end to the NHL in Phoenix yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And Bettman can say all he wants, like there's going to be another team here. I don't believe that. I don't believe that even though hockey, in youth sports here has really picked up, right?
It has grown tremendously.
It's grown tremendously. I'm sure that the Coyotes did help that. And what what are we gonna do, or what are we gonna think of? I just don't think hockey's coming back here. I
No,
think we
I don't.
might have a minor league team. Even the Roadrunners you told me aren't even going to move up here from Tucson.
Nope, they're gonna stay. They might play 6 games up here. Was the talk that they were going to have? ASU hockey is growing by leaps and bounds. They set attendance records every year. You have high school hockey now, where you've had more and more teams that keep showing up. It is the fastest growing sport among Latinos in Arizona. Is ice hockey. It actually
Wow,
passed soccer.
wow,
So
wow.
yeah, it's growing. So yeah, and now you're just gonna right. Are we gonna end up with a team? You would almost want a team here, and then would it be the LA Kings? Would it be San Jose? Would it be Anaheim? Maybe the Dallas Stars? Utah came out with. I guess they're going to be the Utah Hockey Club. They came. I got to admit their jerseys look pretty cool and stuff, but it, it, I just I'm with
What's
you.
the
I just don't.
what's the name of the team?
They're going to be the Utah Hockey Club.
That's it.
Yeah, and they came out with their jerseys the other day, some kind of a bluish color. They look pretty cool. So, but as of right now, they said it'll most likely be the hockey club. That could change. So, but I'm with you. I would be pleasantly surprised. And look, if you and I are still doing a show in 5 years, we're still involved. We're not retired. We're getting close to that ARP age where we can retire. We'll be the first ones to come on and admit that we were wrong. But I'm with you. I don't think the NHL is coming back. And here's the other thing. I'm not sure if Major League Soccer is going to look at this. They're going to say, you can't even support a hockey team. Why would we want to come here? You're going to be playing games, when the weather is a little bit different than others. So that'll be interesting to see with that because soccer would work out here, but now it makes you wonder if the Major League Soccer is thinking, well, maybe we should pull back a little bit and award it to another team before we consider the greater Phoenix area.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. We have not been out to a Rising game yet.
No,
I mean, for 2 years I've been talking to the media guy. 2 years, and I still haven't been out to a game. And you know what? in Chicago, I used to cover when I lived there. When I went back, right? I went back from 2006 to 10. The thing is, I covered the Fire, which is the men's team in MLS, and I covered the Red Stars. The Red Stars had just started. You know who one of the players on the Chicago Red Stars is? That's the women's team. Do you know
No,
who that is?
no.
Dansby Swanson's wife.
Wow.
She's a soccer player. Yeah, yeah.
Now
But
we know why.
and they're supposed to be playing a game at Wrigley Field. Um, I think it's this month.
So that would, yeah, because doesn't it start to get a little humid in July out there, and so now would probably be the time
It's
to
it feels
really put.
humid compared to here when we
Yeah,
have single digit humidity this time of year.
right.
Oh my God. Yeah, and it's from what I understood, it's supposed to be 96 in Chicago today. And you
Yeah,
imagine 96 and humid? No.
this is where,
I've had those days.
well, summer starts the 21st, so we're about a week away from summer starting. It already starts in Phoenix and everything. But yeah, this is where everybody. I think it was 97 degrees in Denver the other day, and they were talking about it. The whole Midwest was starting. St. Louis, I guess. So that's the summer coming in. That's what everybody says. You wish your baseball team was doing well. If you're a White Sox fan, your season's over. You're a Marlins fan, your season's over. Rockies, you're over. But everybody else. So let's transition into the Diamondbacks a little bit. Geraldo Perdomo has returned, playing shortstop. He's going to play some third base. It was announced during the early part of the week that Eugenio Suarez, Gino Suarez, was going to be used as a platoon, and they were going to look at Kevin Newman, Blaze Alexander, Geraldo Perdomo. They were all going to look at third base. And then there were reports out. Bob Nightingale, you know Bob very well. Bob was
Yep.
reporting that the Diamondbacks are either looking at trying to trade him or just eating his contract and letting Suarez go. What do you think about all this with Suarez? I know he's hitting right around 200. Um, I haven't really had a chance to ask you. What do you think of this whole thing about Suarez?
I don't know. They had big hopes for this guy coming in, right? And you know, I don't know enough about him. I mean, how well did he ever do in Seattle?
Well, he was there for home run hitting. That's what, and,
Yeah.
and his glove. He does play above average third base, starts to, double play. One of the big reasons why they brought him in is he is one of the most positive locker room guys. And you know how Torrey is when it comes to having guys in the locker room. And he's a veteran. They didn't sign Longoria, and you will hear a lot of the younger players last year, especially Alec Thomas and Corbin Carroll, say, Evan Longoria was like a father figure, I guess you could say, because he's been around. He knows what it takes to travel and when guys go in slumps and everything. And Corbin Carroll slumped last year, and he slowed and he got out of it.
And
So it's real interesting.
Longoria's retired now. Am I correct?
Right.
He's
Nobody,
not
yeah,
playing.
nobody offered him a contract. So it's interesting. I like Suarez. When he was with the Reds, he was very positive. One year for the Reds, he hit 49 home runs, 34 home runs, 283, 271. Then his average slipped down to 202, 198. Right now, he's hitting 197 for the Diamondbacks. Last year, he hit 232 for the Mariners, 22 home runs, 96 RBIs. He also hits doubles, strikes out a little bit. I know he's led the league in strikeouts, but they brought him in for his power. So he's just not doing it. 6 home runs and 31 RBIs and hitting 197.
Yeah.
So you paid him a lot of money. This is where, and I'm kind of jumping off topic a little bit.
Hmm.
Diamondback fans get really agitated when they say that Ken Kendrick doesn't spend any money. He goes out and he spends money. The problem is the players are at the end of their careers. Zach Greinke, Madison Bumgarner. Now you have maybe possibly Gino Suarez.
Right.
Nick Ahmed last year, they let him go. He wasn't hitting, wasn't fielding. He's still fielding, but not the way that he was. You keep cutting veterans for the younger players, and then you get down into playoff crunch time. I still think last year one of the reasons why, and we know they backed into the wild card, was because having a Longoria on the team. He was able to keep the guys loose, and Christian Walker needed a little bit of help with that. There's just not a lot of veterans on that team, so I think a decision will probably come right around All-Star time whether Suarez is staying or going. I think they're
Yeah.
looking now to see if Alexander can play third base. Alexander's not the greatest shortstop. His defense is average. You've seen him throw balls away. You've seen him make bad plays. Kevin Newman, they say he's not really set to play third base. Can he fill in and do it? So maybe you do a platoon with Perdomo can play third, but he's really better natural shortstop. He's a Gold Glove type shortstop.
Yeah.
So what do you think of what they're going to do about this?
You know, you know, the thing is, I mean, I think that's a great question. What are they going to do about it? I, I'm almost stumped because I think now they just go youth. You know, just just pack it up. They're how many games out of first now? 10,
10.
8? Are they
They're,
10?
they look. They know they're playing for a wild card. They they already know they're playing. They're one game out for the
Well,
wild
well,
card.
well, they knew they were playing for a wild card when
When
day
the
one,
season started,
right?
right?
Day one.
So
There was nobody, and we said that there was nobody that was going to overtake the Dodgers. Period.
yeah, they're eight
That,
games behind the Dodgers, and you don't
that's
play them
not
19 times anymore. You only play them 14 times.
right.
So
I'm
the Padres are 7 games out. The Diamondbacks are eight, 8.5, along with the Giants, both 34 and 36. The thing is, the Diamondbacks really don't have a third baseman. Davison De Los Santos, who everybody loves, he's getting time at first base. So he can play. He
yeah.
came up as a third baseman, but they're moving him to first base. They're looking to groom him as Christian Walker's replacement.
Well, they even tried the Hispanic Titanic at third
Right.
base.
And he's
In the Arizona Fall League, I think that's where they first started trying him there. But he's not a third baseman.
so,
You know,
yeah,
he's a first baseman, and Walker's not going anywhere at least for a couple of years. I mean,
right.
he
He's a
he's
free
not
agent.
even he's not even he's not even good trade bait. Yeah, I'm sorry, Christian
He's a,
Walker. He's an average player. He's not a to me he's not a superstar.
no, he's a great home run hitter for the team when he hits them. But I would like to see Walker get his average around 275, 280, and get back to the 30, 40 home runs. I'd really like to see. It's going to be interesting because he's a free agent. Diamondbacks are loaded at shortstop. You got
Yeah,
Lawler's back.
Tommy Troy.
Tommy Troy is down there, and then you have Geraldo Perdomo. So you have three. Are they going to maybe try to move Perdomo to third base, and Lawler's going to be your shortstop? Because I don't know if Lawler can play third base.
Or
Tommy
Troy.
Troy is probably a couple years away. Are they going to start grooming him at third base? So that'll be interesting. So, yeah, I'm with you. Maybe at the All Star break, they decide what they're going to do with Suarez, maybe over these next 10, 12 games. If he's hitting, if he can get his average up, if he's hitting, maybe in the next, right around 250, you got his average up and he's, got 12, 13, 14, then maybe they hold on to him. If he's stuck down there with 4 or 5 home runs and he's hitting 200, then maybe they do let him go.
Yeah.
Another thing that I asked to,
How
that
long
I
did
asked
they? How long of a contract did he sign?
this year plus an option.
Okay.
So
They'll
you could
probably. Yeah, if he stays the way he's going, they'll trade him. See if they can get something for him.
at least something for him around the trade deadline. I had put in our notes, the pregame notes that we had done.
Yeah.
Where was Tucker Barnhart? And was he in the doghouse? Because you went out and you signed another veteran. I mentioned this the last time we did the show. Jose Herrera, I thought, was doing a decent job defensively, calling a good game. He's not going to have the bat.
Right.
So they went out and they signed Tucker Barnhart to, help with the pitching staff and everything. Last night was his first game in nearly a week that he played. Ended up
Yeah.
getting a couple of hits last night, hitting
Right.
164. He was another one that I was thinking about.
Hey, listen, that would be an improvement for the Cubs.
That'd be an improvement for the Cubs, and I'll let you do your rant on the Cubs. But yeah, it was interesting. What were they going to do with Tucker Barnhart? Was he another one that they're just holding on to, and they're going to say because they do actually have a decent catcher down in the farm system, and it's just a matter of getting him some experience. But were they going to get Tucker Barnhart and get maybe a single A player for him or something, and do whatever they could get to, like we said, a single, and then they would bring up Jose Herrera.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. Another thing I want to bring up, Zach Gallen faced hitters on Monday and Tuesday. He's going to throw a simulated game at the Complex League. Maybe we need to head out there and find out what day he's going to be at Salt River Fields out there. Alex Thomas returned as a DH. So he's going to play designated hitter a couple more games before he comes back. So you're starting to see some of the guys come back. Looks like Merrill Kelly and Rodriguez were throwing, off of a mound, but still are looking a little bit behind. Maybe if Gallen comes back, he'll get a couple starts before the All-Star break. You see anything positive after the All-Star break that this team makes a push for a wild card spot? They're probably going to keep it entertaining. As bad as the wild card teams are, there's only one team above 500, the Braves, and then the Padres are right at 500. So they'll probably keep everybody entertained up until August, and then we'll see. Do you see anything? Do you see them maybe winning 10 out of 13 and really setting themselves up?
No, because I think their pitching still is inconsistent. Their starting pitching is inconsistent. I mean, Fado will come out, he'll throw a good game, he'll throw a bad game. Sacconi's the same way. I mean, every one of them is very inconsistent. Gallen, to me, has not been great this year. I mean, yeah, he's had some, injuries, but he's not the same. He doesn't even look the same on the mound. I don't watch them as much as I used to, right? But his body language on the mound is not that like he's really not attacking. He reminds me right now of Justin Steele on the Cubs. When you look at him out there you can tell that he doesn't have right now. You're not throwing with that confidence like this hitter's can't hit me if he tried. And he is trying, but he can't hit me. And I just see that with Gallen right now. I just don't see him performing the way that he has in the past.
He's thrown a lot of pitches. I mean, he hits 90 pitches in the fifth and the sixth inning. He's just not been able to stretch them out. Jordan Montgomery is the one that you and I want to see.
I was just going to mention that, and
he
I'm not
pitches
sure.
Sunday.
There's been a lot of talk lately about Jordan Montgomery and the contract that he signed. That and I don't know enough about it, but maybe you've heard about it. That they said because of the contract that he signed, he might be some trade bait for the Diamondbacks.
He is trade. He definitely qualifies for a trade. He started his 10th game, which got him a bonus. So that was written in his contract that he was if he got 10 starts, he got a certain amount. If he got 20 starts, so it was all financial based.
It was also incentive based.
Incentive based. That's the word. Yes, thank you. It was incentive based that he got. So he reaches 10 starts. It unlocks a 2025 player option. So he started against the Angels, 10th start of the season, and it officially unlocks the player option in his contract with a base value of $20 million. And they also worked out a deal where he could be traded to a team of his choice. So if the Diamondbacks decide, would he be willing to go to the Padres if they're in the race? The Phillies would certainly take
Yeah.
another start. And the Tigers would love. The Tigers are, right around the wild card spot. The Guardians would love to have a veteran pitcher. So do you wonder if the issue with the trade deadline is there's so many teams that are eligible right now, it's going to become a bidding war. I mean, if you look at it right, including the American League, I mean, right now, and the Braves have one wild card spot. You have the Padres, the Cardinals, the Reds, the Diamondbacks, the Giants, the Pirates, the Nationals, the Cubs, the Mets are all separated by 3 games for the wild card. Now, granted, we've only played, anywhere between 65 and 70 games. We still
Games.
have roughly 90 games. We're right almost to the halfway point. The Rockies and the Marlins are pretty much done with it. And then if you look at the American League, you have the Orioles, Royals, and Twins are pretty much separating from everybody else. The Red Sox are five games behind the next spot, but you have the Tigers, Rangers, Blue Jays, Tampa Bay Rays are all separated by 5 games. So that's going to create an interesting trade deadline. Does that mean the bidding war is going to go up, or you're going to see less teams making trades? Yes, the A's are going to make trades. Mason Miller's probably gone. We've been talking about the White Sox, maybe the Angels. Did the Angels, get rid of Soriano pitched very good the other night against the Diamondbacks. He possibly could be a pitcher. It will be interesting. I'm going to let you jump into the Cubs here, but let me set you up a little bit. Are the Cubs traders, contenders, or pretenders? Do they make trades, or do they go after and decide to unload some guys? Does Justin Steele go away? Does Bellinger go away?
Oh, good question. First of all, let's preface it by saying that right at this moment, the Cubs absolutely suck. Okay, that is, they should just put that right across the TV screen when they're up to bat right now, because they couldn't hit themselves out of out of a paper bag. They can't hit worth a shit, and I said it. Now
33
the
and
thing,
37.
yeah, they're absolutely awful. Now we had mentioned when they started in May they were like 10 games above 500,
10 games
and,
above 500.
and now they're what, 3 or 4 under. Just
Four.
a- absolutely horrible. Okay,
It's
um, and you, I don't think you can blame Craig Counsell because he can't go up and bat for these guys. I think he's trying. Their pitching has not been good. Uh, their starting pitching has still been pretty good, but that bullpen has been awful this year. Um, and I can't believe nobody is hitting. I've never seen a team go into a hitting slump. And I've been watching the Cubs, right? I have not seen a team go in a hitting slump for this long. And I'm talking about everybody on the team. And you're talking about some great players on there, right? A Swanson, a Nico Horner, you got Bellinger, Christopher Morel is complete garbage in the field. They made the Cubs made the mistake of not getting a third baseman. We were just talking about third baseman for the
mm-hmm.
Diamondbacks. Cubs are even in a worse situation because they have nobody to play there. Christopher Morel is complete garbage. He can hit the ball sometimes, and you know, so and again, they're Pete Crow Armstrong, PCA as they want to call him. He is the worst piece of shit I have ever seen. And they're calling him the number one prospect. You know what he's shown me, Jim? Absolutely nothing. And PCA, if you're out there and you're watching our show, you suck. Okay? You suck. You shouldn't even have a baseball glove on. Yeah, you're a good fielder. Big deal. There's a million guys in the minor leagues who are great fielders. You can't hit.
Do you think they brought him up a little early, or one of these guys, is it time just to bring these guys up and say they've got to figure it out? So would you have let him go for another year? I mean, that's always the hard part. You and I talked about, last year they would send Fott up and down 4 and 5 times. I didn't think the guy was ready. I don't think Slade Ciccone is ready. But these guys are going to have to be ready sometime, and maybe Pete Crow Armstrong, he's just got to figure it out.
You know what? I don't think he's going to figure it out. To tell you the truth, I don't think PCA is going to figure it out. I think PCA is a great minor league ball player. That's what he is. And he gets to the majors, and that's it. There's been plenty of guys in the minors who were just average uh, players in the minor leagues, and they got their chance. They brought them up, and they became stars. You know, um, there's
Let me
there's
ask
some
you this,
guys who
though.
there's some guys who perform better underneath the big lights. Uh,
If the Cubs were winning, do you think Armstrong would be doing better? You think he's just gotten into that funk? It's kind of like if you remember last year when the
no,
Diamondbacks lost their 13 in a row.
no.
Everybody says, "Oh, don't get out of." Do you think he's a Major League Baseball player?
I don't think PCA is a major league baseball player. They brought him up last year when the Cubs were doing good, and you know what he did last year? Nothing, nothing. Granted they brought him up at the end of the year, but he's showing me nothing, and I don't know what they see in him. They're seeing what a minor league ball player, but you know what? He hasn't performed. This is the same thing. I'm sorry, I got to go back to Corbin Carroll a little bit. Corbin Carroll had the best rookie season I've seen in a long time. Of course, he won Rookie of the Year. This year, horrible, should have been sent down for a time to try to work things out, bring him back up. I thought last year, as we were watching Corbin Carroll, that $111 million, what is it, 7 or 8 year contract that they signed him to was a steal.
Right.
This year, it's like, you know what? Maybe we pulled the trigger a little bit too quick. Um, but I don't understand. What's this guy's one of the quickest guys in baseball. Can't you lay down a bunt to try to get on, to try to get yourself going? I don't know. Sorry, we were talking about the Cubs. Cubs
Yeah.
just
Let me
Cubs
give you
just
some
flat
other.
out stink.
Yeah, I want to give out some stats here. Runners in scoring position, they're hitting 217, 26th in the league. On base percentage, 321, 22nd in the league. Slugging, 368, 22nd in the league. They need a catcher. We mentioned that. Among catchers, they're hitting a combined 176,
Right,
29th in the league, 29th in slugging with their catchers.
right,
You're not going to win without catchers, and that's going to
right,
be
right.
that's
Exactly. And they're catchers. And not only can't they hit, that's bad enough, right? But they can't throw anybody out. I think I've said this before. They couldn't throw you out, Jim. I'm telling you, they could not throw you out. They are terrible.
I
You know,
wanted to
why don't I
talk
say it the
about,
way it is?
yeah. Um, we were talking about Chicago, and we're going to close out the last 15 minutes talking. We're going to talk more baseball. I want to talk about the
The
game
White Sox?
coming up at Rickwood Field. But no, I wanted to ask you, you living in Chicago for a long time,
Yeah.
um, a legendary sports writer passed away 2 days ago, and I want to know if you crossed paths with Mike Downey. Did you know Mike
Mike?
Downey at all?
No, I
He
did
he
not.
was I always read Mike Downey's work. He had a heart attack at his house, and he was in California, but he wrote for the Chicago Sun Times. And I remember when I first got involved in following sports and everything. He started off in the Chicago Sun Times and then went to the Free Press and then finished up in L.A. And so Mike Downey, I just didn't know if you had crossed paths with
No,
Mike, but he was always wrote great articles. And just, you're starting to lose some of the great baseball writers from the newspapers. Nobody reads the
yeah.
newspapers anymore. So I didn't know if you had crossed paths with him at all in all your years of Chicago. Because, I mean, we talk about New York sports writers, and out here would be LA sports writers, but Chicago is legendary for sports writers in
Yeah.
all of the sports. And it
Yeah. Do
just
you
so
remember?
happens that,
Did you used to get? I don't know if you ever got it out here, but in Chicago we had, and it was on our local sports channel. It was called Sports Writers on TV.
yes, yes, we got
You
it.
ever had
The
it?
big cigars. The guys
Yeah.
always had the cigar. Yes, that was always on.
Exactly. With
It was
with
on ASPN out here.
Gleason, I think Enright was on there too,
Yes.
and him I did know. I did know Jim Enright because that took me back to the Lecoq days, and Pete had introduced me to Jim, so I knew Jim very well. Um, and Gleason, oh my God, Gleason, man, and it was
Yes,
just
he had the
that.
voice. I mean,
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
tell he was a smoker.
a few years ago, when I was kicking around my Kingpin 24-hour sports network, when I was going to do that, I was thinking about having a, a form version of sports writers on TV. It would be baseball, writers or
Right.
radio guys, and just sitting around that table, discussing sports because I thought that was the greatest
I loved it. They didn't care all the smoke that was going on in there. Wouldn't that be awesome?
show.
So we got about 10 minutes left or so in the show, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it. I know you and I had talked about possibly going to this game before I had changed jobs, and they're going to play. Major League Baseball is going to play a game at Rickwood Field, which is home of the Birmingham Black Barons of the old Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, Major League Baseball uh, added the stats of the Negro League players. And now you see Josh Gibson has the highest batting average of all time. He passed over Ty Cobb. So you're starting to add in some of Satchel Paige gets his stats at all these guys. Josh Gibson is getting his stats added in, home
Yeah.
runs and doubles, and like you said, now with the highest average. Willie Mays got 10 extra hits added because he played. So the game is going to be played. The Giants and the Cardinals are going to be playing. They announced yesterday that Willie Mays is going to travel to Birmingham. He played for the
Wow.
Black Barons.
And how
93
old?
years young.
That's what I was
90.
going to
He
say.
just
How
celebrated
old
his
is he?
93rd birthday. 93 years young, Hall of Famer, legend, former Black Barons player Willie Mays is going to attend.
Wow.
That is going to
Wow.
be outstanding. You and I, we know Barry Bloom very well. We know Bob Nightingale very well.
Oh,
Those
they'll be
guys are
there.
going to be out at the stadium. They're going to be attending the game. Not to really bring it up. I think it's a good idea that they added the stats in. We always talk about Babe Ruth being the greatest player. Babe Ruth never got a chance to play against the black baseball players. The black baseball players never got a chance to play against the white players. So you never got a chance to
Yeah.
see it. It would have been good
Yeah.
to see Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige, and I could just go down the list of Negro League players. I have a sports card collection and I have a Negro League collection. I was fortunate last year for my birthday. My wife and I went to the Negro League Museum. I'm telling anybody that's watching us out there, you really need to get out to the Negro League Museum. But I just find that very interesting. The last couple of years they've done the game out at the Iowa Cornfield. What are your thoughts about Major League Baseball playing in England? They're talking about maybe going to Germany to grow the game. But how about a game at the oldest professional ballpark in the United States?
Oh, I would like to be there. I didn't apply for it.
No,
Uh,
we,
I
we had
may
talked about it.
I may have gotten a credential for that. Um, but who knows? There's probably so much interest in it. But I think it's going to be really cool. I think forget the two teams that are playing, right? You said it's the Cardinals and
Giants
who?
and the, Giants and the Cardinals.
Yeah, really great frickin' game that'll be. But the thing is it's historic, right? It's like
Yeah,
when they did the Field of Dreams games, um, and those were pretty exciting, but those were only because of the movie.
the
This
movie.
is this is truly history,
Right. Yeah,
you
and
know,
it's
and it, it'll be kind of cool. I could imagine walking up the steps of that stadium and going in there and seeing the field and the way that I used to be when I would walk into Wrigley Field as a kid, and you walked up the steps, and you would see the field, and you just get the goosebumps, right? And you think about even today when Wrigley, you think about all the great players that have played there, right? I mean, throughout the years, there's ghosts in that place. I'm telling you, and I'm sure it for this game, it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, they're going to wear the throwback uniforms. That's
Yeah,
going to highlight the Negro Leagues for obviously San Francisco and St. Louis. They're going to do a documentary. The documentary is on Monday about Willie Mays. That's on June 17th. June 18th, there's going to be a play ball event at the field that's right around there. And then they're going to host on the 18th, the Birmingham Barons are going to host the Montgomery Biscuits at 6 p.m. Using the name from the Negro Leagues. Representatives from Major League Baseball and VIP guests will visit the Children's Hospital. I believe the game, I'm checking, the game is going to be on over the air TV. I believe it's going to be on our local channel 10 out here, but they're really promoting it. And I really hope that everybody
yeah.
gets an
And,
opportunity to watch the game and just to see.
and,
We're losing.
and what
Go
day
ahead.
is that? What day is that game on? I'm sorry.
The game is going to be June 20th, which is going to be Thursday.
Okay.
So, which is actually, everybody said, why not Friday night? Why not Saturday? Why not Sunday? They did that. That's when they did the games in the cornfield. They did it on a Thursday, which not a lot will be going on. So why not? Like you said, you were talking about that it's going to be warm in Chicago and everything. So why not, sit in your air conditioner and watch the game? We're losing more and more of the Negro League players. There's only a handful that are still around. If they're able to travel, obviously Willie Mays will be there. I'm sure Hank Aaron's spouse will be there. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see. I know, just to bring up real quick, Charlie Pride, who was a country singer,
Yep.
Charlie Pride played in the Negro Leagues, and Charlie Pride used to suit up every year, and he would play for on the Padres team or the Rangers team, and he was always out here. Charlie
Yep.
passed away a couple of years ago, but he was very strong about carrying the Negro League tradition. So I'm sure
Yep.
Bob Kendrick, who was the president of the Negro League Museum, and they're building a new museum, he's going to be out there. So it's just going to be a fascinating time and I really look, baseball really develops, they keep the traditions going more than anybody. Their all-star game is top notch above everybody else. Now, granted, football, can you really do it during halfway through the season? Basketball, it's just become a showcase. Who can score the most points?
Yeah.
Hockey, it's the same thing with hockey. Baseball does a very, very good job. Now, I know there was a few years ago we ran out of pitchers, and Bud Selig changed the rules a little bit. Whoever wins gets to be the home team. We
Yeah.
changed all that back. So they've done a great job with that, and I really enjoy how baseball has kept the tradition going. So I'm hoping it really turns out to be better than they think it was that it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I
Well, it'll
definitely
be
will be watching the game as well.
it'll
So
definitely be it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. I mean, I really don't care about the two teams playing, to tell you the truth. Um, but I
no, but
think
to see Willie
just
Mays out there would be good.
no, I mean, I think everything else around the game
Right.
is good, and it'll be kind of cool that they're playing on that field and so forth.
I wanted to ask you this
Um,
last week, and we'll finish up the show. Um, the viewership in baseball is up at the stadiums and also on TV. In fact, it's also up on the radio. Viewership on radio is up over 65%, almost 65.2. If you just say 65%, and a lot of that has to do with For example, the Diamondbacks, they're not on Bally Sports. Bally Sports would belly up out here. So a lot of people don't want to pay the extra amount, so they're listening to it on the radio. Greg Schulte actually did the game on radio last night. Steve Berthoum came down with an illness, so they moved Chris Garagio over to Chris Garagiola.
Yeah.
Garagiola. I'm sorry, I said Garagio. Chris Garagiola. So he did the game with Tom Candiotti on TV last night, and then they had Greg Schulte and Josh Colmetter were doing it on the radio. So we'll see if Greg Schulte is going to do it. But viewership is up on TV. It's also up at the stadium. And I wanted to ask you, do you think the biggest reason is because baseball has implemented all these rules, and now the average game is 2 hours and 33 minutes long instead of 3 hours and
Absolutely.
17 minutes?
Absolutely. It was even better for us too being out there. Um, yeah, I think them tightening up and making the game quicker has definitely brought a lot of people there. I mean, I was tired of those 3.5 hour games. Um, I think the night that you went the other night at one of those games, I'm not sure if it was the night you sat in the press box or the night before, but I think that game was like 2 hours.
There was a
I mean, I took a look at it. It was like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something because I know the game started at 6:40, and I know I just saw the final come through and it was like at 9:01. I'm going, what?
Yeah, I went to a game on Sunday, and the game was 1 hour and 53 minutes long. The Diamondbacks have the shortest game of the year this year. There's I didn't like keeping the runner on second base. I know they did it during the pandemic and all that, but it's actually made it kind of entertaining. And I bring that up because the Twins were playing the A's last night, and the A's jumped out to a 4-0 lead. They had a grand slam home run, and the Twins chipped away and they chipped away and they tied it in the eighth inning, and they went into extra innings. Twins had a guy on second base, and a base hit brought him to third, and then Max Kepler came up and hit a line drive single down the line, and it scored him. That made it so much better having a guy on second base. And you and I have been watching baseball for a long time. The average age of a baseball fan is 60 years old, and I'm 60. So to grow the game, we don't like the fact that they got a guy on second base, and they call it the ghost runner. I actually find it entertaining, and I know for old baseball purists they don't like it, but to grow the game and to bring in more boys and girls, younger people, and fans, it's made it entertaining, and I like it. And you're right, you could play a 10 inning game, 11 inning game, and still get out in 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So it's
it's definitely made it a lot better, and
so you don't have a problem with the ghost runner. You don't have a problem with throwing over only twice.
no, and the thing is, when it comes to playoffs, though, they go back to tradition.
They do go back to tradition, which is fine. I really enjoy that because we talk about all playoff games are important in all sports, but there's really nothing like playoff hockey and playoff baseball. It's more. I don't know if intense is the word for it, but you really have to make the right moves. You saw
Right.
that last night in the NBA. You lost by 40 points. You can't do that in a baseball. You have to make the right moves in hockey and baseball, and I'm glad that they keep the tradition going.
Yeah, yeah. Playoff hockey to me is so exciting. It's
It's
so fast. It's
intense.
so much faster than the
It is,
regular season. It's
and
crazy.
there's so
Yeah.
much pressure on your goalie.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Bob, we have blown through another hour. Yeah, Kingpin, this is
Yeah.
amazing. We got a lot that we talk about. I'm going to the game tomorrow in the press box. I get to see Jordan Montgomery for the Diamondbacks tonight. The Diamondbacks, it's a late game. It's a 7 o'clock game. They do that 7 o'clock game in the
Yeah.
month of June. We get to see the opener. Scott McGuff will be our opening pitcher tonight. He'll probably throw an inning, if that.
Right, exactly. Great. Well, they're playing the White Sox. They're playing the worst team I have ever seen. Ever
It could it,
seen.
they could be worse than the 60 expansion Mets. So, all right,
They
everybody, that's been a quick
yeah.
hour, and we'll have to. There will be more to talk about next week. So hopefully everybody has a safe weekend. And for people living in Arizona or where the heat is, everybody stay cool. I guess it's going to be 96 in Chicago today.
Oh yeah. Everybody have a great week, and we shall see you next week right here with
Bye.
Kingpin, and there he is,